Okay, alright, so what we're going to do today is make a coil. So first you're going to start off with your clay, which of course you're going to need to wedge. So just press down and lift until you get your clay all mixed together really good. Now I'm working on the concrete table and you can see it's sticking a little bit. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to take a card and I'm going to scrape that up and put it in the trash can. What I want to do is make sure that it's mixed together really good. This will help keep it from having cracks and air pockets and things like that in it. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Cards are right here. I just scrape this up. And away we go. Okay, so I've got my piece of clay, and in order to turn this into a coil, I'm just going to start squeezing the clay, first of all with my hands, in order to be able to get it more of a coil shape. Notice too that when I started squeezing, I'm squeezing the same direction that I was doing the wedging. That'll help keep it all more one piece. Okay, it's getting a little bit smaller. I'm going to take it and I'm squeezing from the outside in, and I'm turning it a lot. Yes, you're going to work out your hand muscles doing this. So lots of rotation. Break that down. Okay, and at first I'm using my whole hand to squeeze, and then as it gets smaller and smaller, I'm going to start just using just my fingers. Again, rotating, trying to keep it as round as possible. And then I'm ready to start to roll. And so when I roll, I'm just pushing the clay around and stretching it out at the same time. And I'm making sure that I don't keep pressing one spot too much or just doing short little rolls, because if I do that, it's going to flatten out, okay, instead of being round. And if it does do that, just take it, kind of tap it. You can even put a little twist on it and then just keep on rolling. Now, this doesn't work very good on the mats because it has a tendency to stick. So if you're finding you're having problems, you can grab a piece of paper, like a piece of newspaper, and work on top of that. I have boards made out of the concrete that are over on the tower next to the photo booth, so you could work on top of that. You can also make sure that you add water, so you can put a little bit on your hands and just rub it across there. So if it looks like it's getting a little dry, just add a little moisture in. Another thing that works really good is to take one of the yellow sponges that are in your bucket of tools, take that and get it really wet, like with the sink, and then you don't want it to be dripping, but you want it to be heavy, and then just run it across, and that might be a little less messy than using the sprayer there. Okay, you want to roll it out probably till it's about 3/8 of an inch thick, or you can go thinner, just depends on what it is you're doing. But there's your coil. You want to make sure that you use a coil the same day that you make it, because if you don't, it'll get too dry and the next day it will break as you're trying to bend it. If it does tend to break, if you're trying to make like a spiral or something, just make sure you add more water. So take that sponge and run it across so that there's plenty of water in it, and then you can do whatever it is that you need to do, whether that's rolling a spiral or whatever it might be. I also like to take, if I'm making shapes out of the clay, go ahead and roll up my shape and blend the back of it. Now when I'm doing this, I'm not pushing very hard on the table because that'll flatten out. You can also just keep it in your hand, but by blending the back side together, I make sure that it's more like one piece, and it's going to be a lot easier to attach. It's also a good idea, if your clay is a little bit on the dry side, to score and slip it before you try to do that too, because it'll help hold it together. Okay, so there's just a little bit about how to make a coil, and you're ready to go on your own.
That was dope. Oh, that's.
Did you add that? It was dope.
We're adding this. We're adding the murder of the clay. Oh my, that was aggressive. Okay.